It's time to sit back and check out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your hosts, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey fam, what is going on? Covering the latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. You guys are checking out an all-new The RCWR show for this January 20th, 2025. Happy Monday to you all. Hope your week is going off to a great start. Just coming out of a very busy weekend, and depending on where you're living, we got hit with another round of snow. I know out here in the DC metropolitan region, most areas got hit with about 2 to about 4 inches of snow, while some were lucky enough to just get a dusting. So, yeah, I know for us over here, we got about, I would say, 3 inches at most. But I tell you what, my neighborhood really did good with the snow this go round, because when they heard that, hey, it's only going to be maybe about 3 inches possibly, but it snowed for about 5, maybe 6 hours. A lot of residents in my neighborhood came on out with, many of them had brooms, and they were just sweeping the sidewalks, sweeping the driveways, and that pretty much was it. That's the easiest way to do it. But we are dealing with some significant refreeze right now. You would have thought that the refreeze would have been some type of an issue late last night, going into this morning. But I just saw a couple of email notifications let me know that there was going to be some school delays by an hour or two in many counties. So kind of weird what's going on over here. Of course, it is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And it's always interesting when it comes to this holiday, because every time it comes around where we celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. King, I'm always learning something new about the man. And I am a history buff, especially when it comes to Black history. So it's always cool to learn something new. Just weird. The hell was that? I'm hearing a little bit of some noise going on in the back room. I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, yeah, I'm always learning something new. Of course, also today was inauguration day of our new president. I'm not going to talk about the stuff that's gone down today as far as executive orders that was signed, things of that nature. You want to know what I think about everything that went down with today and the inauguration, tune in this weekend. Me and Tams, we're going to join forces, and we're definitely going to be dropping a new episode of Wrestling with the Topics. We've been a little bit slow getting together to do the shows again, because I'm doing something and then last minute she gets pulled doing something else. But if everything holds up, it's about 90%. I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to sit down and do something for you guys this week. Let me know what you thought about tonight's WWE RAW. Got a poll up on youtube.com/the RCWR show. Click on the communities tab and vote that way. You can also cast your vote on Twitter, twitter.com/the RCWR show, or it's now known as X. You can definitely hit me up over there. Look, a bit of average episode when it's all said and done. I know one thing that was definitely alluring for me going into tonight's Raw from Texas was the fact that good old JBL, one of my all-time favorite WWE heels. Oh my God, just the promos alone from that guy. Oh man, like younger listeners out there, newer wrestling fans, you definitely owe it to yourselves to go out of your way and look up some of that stuff. Uh Badass, simply badass. I'm hearing that JBL is gonna be in the house as Raw came to us from Dallas, Texas at the American Airlines Center. And for me, this was a easy, oh, okay, well, this kind of makes sense. For those of you that's kind of, yeah, why was JBL there? That is just so goddamn random. What's going on with that? Well, TNA, they did do a pay-per-view in Texas less than 24 hours ago, which we'll talk about here on tonight's show, because I did watch that event in its entirety. I went on ahead and paid for the thing on pay-per-view and everything. TNA Genesis. JBL did make an appearance at that event. So to hear that JBL was going to be on Raw tonight, I'm going, oh, well, this makes sense. Okay, sure. And I went into this episode going, okay, maybe we're going to further advance something here in regards to the TNA WWE relationship. Maybe that's what's going to be going on here, because after all, we did have quite a few NXT stars that popped up on Genesis over the weekend. So I'm going, well, okay, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Okay, sure. We had JBL out there for one backstage segment that involved New Day, as Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. They wanted for JBL to show them some love on commentary and put them over. Surely, if anybody knows a thing or two about what the New Day is going through, a man such as JBL would, because at the pinnacle of his career, he had to ditch Ron Simmons. He had to ditch Farouk. And it was only then would this man be able to find true greatness in everything. And they actually had the audacity of slipping two $1 bills. You couldn't even at least make it more alluring, New Day, and just make it be a single $2 bill. You had to give him two one single dollar bills. Just come on, man. Come on. I know when I used to work in retail, the $2 bills was something that a lot of my colleagues, coworkers love to collect. Love to collect. Every now and then I come across some customers, but it was mainly coworkers that love collecting those $2 bills because it was just so rare that you saw a $2 bill. It's not like you're gonna go stop by a bank and just, hey, give me all the $2 bills. Like, most people aren't gonna do that. So, if you're in a really cool position where you're working as a cashier, you're constantly dealing with, right, all those transactions, and you got those out of 100%, you got that 40% that's going to be paying with cash. It's so funny because once in a blue moon out here, wow, people still pay with cash. Like, yeah, there's still tons of people that still pay with cash. And out of 100%, I would say, as far as the ratio goes, it's about 60 to 70% credit cards, and the remaining percent, actually, you know what? You got about 1% of folks out there that are still paying with checks. Believe it or not, paper checks. Yeah. But those $2 bills is so rare when you see those things. New Day couldn't even do that. They had to give JBL two $1 single bills, like he's a goddamn stripper or something. And I just love hearing JBL. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Yeah, hearing all the stuff about Big E, how he's so charismatic, big, strong bull of a man, those muscles. Yeah, I get where you guys are coming from. Yeah, New Day rocks. They're chanting because of him, and so obviously JBL was not showing them any kind of love as they walked away. So that was one segment involving JBL. I thought there was going to be many more segments, but no, we got JBL to come on out there on commentary for a match that involved Kofi Kingston. Looking in the show notes here for tonight, it was Kofi Kingston taking on Rey Mysterio. And JBL was on commentary for that match. It was hilarious hearing Kofi and Xavier come out demanding that JBL give them back their $2. I died with laughter hearing that. Like, wow, all the money that you guys make, and you have that. It was just funny. It was just funny how they were tripping over their $2. JBL did very good on commentary for the one match that he was presented for, by the way. But that pretty much was it. It was just okay, and he's gone. So I know a lot of people are probably looking at that, especially veteran wrestling fans. Wait a minute, that's it? Like there was nothing else, nothing, and you were hoping that maybe something was going to transpire during the night involving JBL, particularly something in regards because we know he's been all over the place on the indies and everything, and he was just at TNA Genesis. Okay, maybe something, maybe he's going to declare himself for the Royal Rumble or something of that magnitude. No, nothing whatsoever. So a head scratching moment right there. Why was JBL truly there? What was going on there? Look, what I suspect probably was going down with JBL is as follows. A couple of things. One, I think that since WWE was coming out there, JBL wasn't that far away because if I'm not mistaken, I believe one of his homes is in Texas. Because if I remember right, he has multiple homes in the U.S. I think one of his homes is in the Texas area. But thinking about that TNA Genesis pay-per-view, right? Still probably most likely in the area. Then the other thing that comes into my mind as well, I wouldn't be shocked to hear by wrestling news media outlets that JBL was also there for WWE because they were filming something new, something, maybe a new special, a new documentary, and JBL was there to take part in it. I do believe that could have been a case as well. Something else I think possibly could have factored in as well, because I know there's going to be some people that's going to look at JBL and they're probably going to say, well, wait a minute here. We know that Dana White and 9 times out of 10, the McMahon family and a whole slew of other people. I know the Paul brothers were definitely in attendance for Trump's inauguration. Some people may look at JBL and go, was this maybe Vince McMahon calling in a favor to his son-in-law Triple H, Paul Levesque, and possibly right with JBL, because JBL is definitely a big Republican. So is it possible that maybe with JBL being incorporated into the show, this is kind of a nice way of giving a FU to the fans that voted for Harris? I think that's reading too deep into the weed of things. I don't think from a political standpoint that's why JBL was there. Because particularly you listen to JBL's commentary, all he basically was doing was commentating over that matchup between Rey Mysterio, Kofi Kingston. There were no innuendos. There were no, did you catch that little Easter egg? There was nothing of that magnitude going on, right down to the color scheme of suit that JBL was wearing. Nothing of that magnitude. So I would not be too surprised. Just an educated guess. I would not be too surprised to hear that JBL mainly was there in the area because something to do with a WWE special. So, and look, if some other things maybe transpired as well for why JBL is there, I'm sure we'll most likely hear about it. I wouldn't rule anything out though. Is it possible that maybe JBL was also there because maybe they want to see if he'd be interested in doing some stuff possibly at the Rumble. I wouldn't rule that out either. Maybe we might see something of him, but that's just my thought process on that off the break. Now something that I will chime in on that I think also, I just laid out that I might be on top of, putting of that camera could also be a sign, if you want to take it that way, to one Corey Graves. Soon as I saw just how everything was, for those of you curious, yeah, we heard that Pat McAfee, college, ESPN college football responsibilities not going to be on this episode this week. Yeah. What was going on? Wasn't no Corey Graves. Was no Corey Graves on this episode. Instead, it was Wade Barrett joining Michael Cole. And it's so funny, not funny, but I couldn't help but look at Wade Barrett and just go, man, if Corey would have kept his mouth shut, most likely that would have been him right there being tossed that bone from time to time. That would have been him. He could have easily slid in right there. And I couldn't help but look at the JBL on commentary and go, I wonder if this might also be a little bit of a nod at Corey in the sense of this could have been you, just to show you that we do have the power to, but you want to be faking, you want to be bullshitting around and do your thing on social media. Look, whether it is a work, whether it's a shoot, what's going on with Corey Graves, I tell you this, just the optics of it alone as it stands right now, I think we can all be in agreement. It doesn't look good, but at the same time, as wrestling fans, we love drama. We love a really good story. We love when the lines begin to blur, and whatever is going on here, it's okay. You know what? Don't really want to figure this out. I don't know about you all, but me right now, I'm going. I really don't want to figure this out. I'm going with my knee-jerk reactions. I'm just going off with how it all is playing out. But whatever is going on, I'm finding it to be very intriguing. I want the shit to continue because you got me hooked. I want to know how this is going to play out, if it's going to play out at all. So that's what we got that went down there. We were talking about Rey Mysterio, Kofi Kingston. Fun little matchup. Rey Mysterio picking up the win, a little bit over 10 minutes. Look, you can't go wrong seeing Rey Mysterio, Kofi Kingston. Nice, fun, little back and forth, athletic, and everything. I am really, really enjoying the beginnings of the heel work of New Day. They are really turning a corner for the better, I feel. Post match, New Day was jumping on Rey Mysterio. Rest of the LWO came out there making the save for Ray. New Day hightailing it, obviously. Continuation going on here between New Day, Rey Mysterio, LWO now, which, look, I love this continuation. We're just adding more layers to this because this has been going back weeks now. New Day, Rey Mysterio, and now we got the LWO incorporated and all that. So I love this. I love where we're going with this. Good stuff. Jey Uso opening things up. By the way, that was really rough watching Michael Cole. Michael Cole. I love Michael Cole, man, but seeing him out there doing the Jey Uso stuff, you know what Michael Cole reminded me of. I told this story once before, many, many years ago, but I remember when I saw Soundgarden at the Patriot Center. This would have gone back, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was 2012. It was 2012. This was way before they released their King Animal, their final studio album, King Animal. And I remember when Soundgarden was performing throughout the night there. I had front row seats. I was like in the third row. It was all you were standing on that main floor there. So I was in the third row and I'm just jamming and everything. And occasionally I would look over to my left. And I remember there was this old white guy who probably was in his early 60s. And I remember every time Chris Cornell had went over to that side of the arena and he was singing to the crowd. I remember this old white guy, leftovers for hair, big old gut, tight jeans. He was running down there and he was just, yeah, he was throwing his hands. He was doing literally what Michael Cole was doing tonight with Jey Uso. And I just died with laughter. But at the same time, I was also thinking to myself, because now I'm kind of getting up there in age. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, that's how I kind of do these days when I hear new music, for some of these new up and coming artists, and I'm bobbing my head and I'm waving my hand like, oh my God, now I kind of know. Okay, let me just go back to just nodding my head because that's what I do best. Just nod my head. Poor Michael Cole. Poor Michael Cole. The Jey Uso Gunther segment, which pretty much was all about putting in those last verbal jabs as we're going into this Saturday's main event on NBC, Saturday night's main event. So, this was just pretty much one final hoorah before these guys meet up. Uh, Gunther pretty much repeating what he had said last week, which is Jey Uso is a joke, and Gunther is going to exploit him for the joke that he is. He does not take him to be a serious contender. He does not look at him as a threat. He does not look at him as a uh, main eventer, and he's looking to expose Jey Uso for all it's worth on Saturday night's main event. So that's pretty much what that segment was all about in a nutshell. Gunther even going as far as to say, you've got no business even being this close to a world heavyweight champion, let alone a world heavyweight championship. So some hot words there. And of course, Jey Uso coming right back. Yeah, it's funny too, because I think at one point, if I remember right, fam, let me know. But if I remember right, Gunther even said something along the lines of, I think Jimmy is maybe the one that is more, or he said something like, I can't get you. I can't tell the difference between you and Jimmy, right? As far as like their irrelevancy and all that. So I thought that was kind of interesting what was going on there. I thought Jey Uso did pretty good with the limited mic time that he had here. Wasn't quite as good as his delivery from last week, but it was still a solid effort nonetheless. I thought Gunther this go round a little bit shaky on the microphone compared to last week, but still rather decent either way. The guys did not throw down here on this segment, by the way. There was no throwdown. Would have been nice had we seen that, but there was no throwdown that went down here whatsoever. Some other stuff from this week's Raw. I missed this one. Apparently, Jackie Redmond was with Karrion Kross and Scarlett and asked what's next for them now that the Wyatt Six have moved to SmackDown. Also, she inquired about the whereabouts of the Miz. Cross says Miz is on assignment for this week, and that right now Cross's focus or his next target is on Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Sami Zayn. Cross says you can't believe a word that Sami Zayn says, and he doesn't think Zayn even believes in his own words, and that soon the world will find out if Cross really has a problem with Sami or not. Speaking of which, Sami Zayn, let's go ahead, let's talk about him, because that was actually a pretty good segue as Sami Zayn made his way to the ring. Sami talked about how he spoke with Adam Pearce and that he officially is going to be entering the 2025 Royal Rumble match, trying to get that shot at WrestleMania and everything. And this is a moment that he has dreamed of for a long time. Basically winning the Royal Rumble, punching in that ticket, going to the main event of WrestleMania. It is a dream that he's had since he was a teenager. So he is looking to do whatever it takes to get the job done come Royal Rumble night. Enter Kevin Owens. We knew that this was a long time coming, and we're going, oh, the receipt that Kevin Owens has for Sami Zayn. Ooh, wee. Well, not so fast. Not so fast. Kevin Owens out there. Sami Zayn, okay, what's up? I knew you was going to be coming for me sooner or later, so how's this going to go down? How we doing this? Kevin Owens, oh, no. Yeah, I was definitely mad at you without a shadow of a doubt. Definitely was mad at you. But, when I play it all back in my head and I think about, our history and look, I know when it's all said and done, you were just doing you know, what you could there to help out a friend. That's what makes you so cool as a friend is you're always forgiving. It's one good trait that I love about you. That's why we've been friends for so long. So I totally understand why you ultimately went back there and you helped out Roman Reigns. It's just you're just always that forgiving person. You always look at the lighter side of things. And Owens going even further to tell Sami Zayn, yo, as far as if there's anybody I believe that can go in there, win the Royal Rumble of this year, and go main event WrestleMania, Sami Zayn, you are that guy. I am rooting for you. These people are rooting for you. I hope you get that job done because nothing would please me more than to see you come out of the Royal Rumble as the winner. I come out of the Royal Rumble still the undisputed WWE champion, and we can face off at WrestleMania. I love how Sami Zayn didn't quite have the heart to tell Kevin Owens, that's a really cool idea, but Kevin, there's only one problem with that. You're not the champion right now. Like I was waiting for that. I was hoping we would, but it did not go that corner. Instead, the corner that we had that played out, Kevin Owens said, look, I know when all is said and done, you always are going to do the right thing. You're always going to have your friends back. So in my situation and everything that's going on with Cody Rhodes, I know you're going to do the right thing when it counts, and you're going to have my back. So always, when you think about this promo and you look at it, you really dissect it. This was almost a okay. I see what's going on here. Because remember, we got a contract signing between Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes at Saturday night's main event, where basically the moderator, if you will, the person that's going to be overseeing the contract signing is going to be HBK Shawn Michaels, which makes a lot of sense because HBK lives out in San Antonio, Texas. Texas getting a lot of love these past couple of weeks as far as wrestling goes. I'm loving it. I'm loving it, seriously. So I kind of got the impression here that Kevin Owens is basically planting the seeds here. Look, I need your help in getting this championship. What's up? So will Sammy do the right thing or not? That is the question here. So kind of a nice little fun development there to be continued. Bailey, who revealed officially that she is the newest member of the Raw roster, which I got to take a sidebar and I got to ask you guys, have you seen Becky Lynch in the new Raw promo yet? Now that I had pointed it out several weeks ago, you didn't need a wrestling website to let you know Becky Lynch is ultimately going to be returning to the WWE. All you had to do was just watch that first Raw episode on Netflix, and you would have seen her part of the Raw promo. I'm not talking about the intro. Like during one of the commercial breaks, there's a little Raw segment, pretty much let you know Mondays, 8 p.m. on Netflix, and you see various superstars hitting moves, hitting the ropes, posing. It's an in studio produced joint, and you see Becky Lynch in there, clear as day. It looks like she's kind of gone back to the retro man kind of look. So to speak, where she just used to come out with black pants, black jacket, kind of look like that version again, just slightly updated. But Bailey took on Nia Jax tonight. Bailey, newest member of the Raw roster. By the way, as Rhea Ripley made her way to tonight's show much earlier in the night, way before the show even came on, Nia Jax beating that ass down, catching her, giving her a quick beat down. Nice little setup there. So you're looking at that, and you're definitely having in the back of your head, wonder if Rhea Ripley's gonna come out here and try to cash a receipt on Nia Jax's ass. What's up with that? Bailey losing to Nia Jax. I thought it started off pretty strong, but then it soon went into Nia Jax just dominating, which honestly I was okay with. I definitely was okay with. Post match, bingo. Rhea Ripley comes out. Two of them are brawling. Officials come out, separate the two. We find out later on during the night that on this Saturday's main event, it is going to be Nia Jax taking on Rhea Ripley for the women's championship. By the way, Roxanne Perez was in the house watching everything play out. Remember, these past couple of weeks now, Perez and Bailey, they verbally have been having a little feud. They've been going back and forth and everything. I would imagine it's going to ultimately culminate in, I would assume, Bailey being in a match against Perez, but I'm looking at Perez, and I agree with a lot of you guys throughout social media. A lot of you guys are saying, look, Perez, she's definitely ready. Just put her up on the main roster already. And, look, not for nothing, but if the way that they properly want to go ahead and really set the tone here for a main roster run for Perez, if their intent is to basically do it the way that they've been doing it now by incorporating Bailey, that's definitely another fun route I think WWE should definitely explore, and the possibilities of. Remember the idea I had a couple of weeks ago? I've talked about the idea of how they could properly have her on the roster, but if that's something they feel they don't need and they would rather go in a direction of kind of what they're doing right now, I think that would suffice as well. So some interesting developments that we got going on here with this. I'm looking forward of all the matches that's going to be for Saturday night's main event. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing Ripley and Nia Jax get it on. Two big behemoths, Amazonian women. Just that's going to be a fun match. Meanwhile, Chad Gable catches up with Dominic Mysterio and the rest of Judgment Day. Chad following up on a message or two that Dominic Mysterio had as far as your lucha libre problem, this is how you can take care of it, right? You need some advice and all that. So Dom gives Gable a piece of paper with a guy's name on it. Apparently, this is how he's going to be able to take care of his lucha problem. And Chad looked at Dom smiling big time, going, "Are you sure this will take care of my problem? Like, this is who I want." Dom's like, "Yeah, trust me, this is who you want." Okay, bet. I wonder if that name is, I don't know, Tony Khan. I don't know. I'm very curious what name was on that piece of paper there. See from there. Liv Morgan still seems a little bit shady, a little bit cold towards Dom Mysterio. By the way, ever since he tried to get back with Rhea Ripley and everything, it kind of interesting was going on there because this week, Dom decides that he wants to fill in for Finn Balor, thinking Finn probably won't mind. And he said to Liv, "Look, I know you're still mad at me and everything, but I'm trying to do my best to make it up to you." And Liv's like, "Oh, I know, and you will. Just I hope you do a much better job with I think she said, I hope you do a better job with this Chad Gable situation than you did with helping me retain my championship." So, and she also gave Dom props for the fact that he's been trying to step up and everything, kind of making you wonder here, huh? Now that essentially there is an opening amongst the dysfunction, is this where Dominic Mysterio is finally trying to plant his flag in the soil there? Like, who knows? From there, Penta in action, following up on a fantastic week. Which, look, when it's all said and done, that was a great debut for the guy. A great debut for the guy. You're only as good as your dance partner. So Chad Gable, definitely, we need to stress it. In case I didn't stress it enough from last week, we definitely need to really, really highlight the fact that Chad Gable was the MVP for last week there. Because I've said for years, when it comes to wrestling, good matches and everything, you're only as good as your dance partner. And Chad Gable, it's so crazy because I think about what happened last week involving Chad Gable, and I'll need for you guys to correct me, but if I'm not mistaken, that very same week, Chad Gable had a wrestling match on Speed. And I'm just going, wow, this guy is just, and I'm just looking at this going, well, I hope there's a payoff here coming for Chad Gable. I really hope that 2025 is going to be, that year for him and everything. Penta continuing building up from what he did last week and picking up a win over Pete Dunne. So two really back-to-back solid performances by Penta. Good stuff. Love the way that they booked him here against Pete Dunne. And what was the most coolest thing about this match against Pete Dunne? Drastically different from what we saw in Penta's debut last week. Obviously, two very diverse talents in the ring, in Chad Gable and Pete Dunne. Chad definitely a technical wizard. Dunne more of a brawler than technical, and it was interesting to just see how diverse and how fluid these two matches have been now with Penta. I gotta say, I was really, really taken back by that. Great crowd that Penta performed in front of too. I think it's really been smart how WWE has been capitalizing the utilization of Penta here, right? Because think about it for a second. You're in Los Angeles, California, where you got a lot of Latinos. You follow that up with Texas. Oh my God, that and not just any old part in Texas. You follow it up in Dallas, Texas, where there's definitely a decent amount of Latinos, and two really smart crowds to put Penta in front of, in hopes that you get the type of reaction that you get. WWE 2 for 2 now, so kudos to WWE. 2 for 2 for now. See from there. See, what else did we have play out on tonight's show? If you guys been enjoying yourself so far, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit the like button and everything. The CM Punk promo. CM Punk chilling with Jackie Redmond, talking about this Royal Rumble, how he plans on going in there and winning it. And I loved how he talked about, I'm going to be the one. I'm going to throw out these 29 other superstars and everything. He talked about how Sami Zayn isn't even on his level, how John Cena isn't going to see him when he throws his ass over the top rope. I mean, he is just going over key opponents here, but what got me dead on my ass in tears with laughter was what he had to say in regards to Hulk Hogan. I love the fact that leave it up to good old CM Punk here, man. I'm telling you, CM Punk with the line of the night, and to see Jackie Redmond's face was priceless. CM Punk saying, put Hulk Hogan in the Royal Rumble and I'll throw his dusty ass over the top rope and I'll kill Hulkamania once and for all. Jackie popped, facially wise. The crowd popped. My black ass popped. Thank God I didn't have a drink in my hand, and I wasn't, already, down in it. Greatest line of the night. I freaking loved it. I was expecting for Seth Rollins to maybe interrupt Punk here, but Punk was able to get through this promo without any issues whatsoever. Punk did bring up Roman Reigns. And he said that as far as settling scores and calling in favors, if he needs to, he'll call in that favor and everything. I wonder if that's a callback to Paul Heyman. Kind of makes you wonder. So some very interesting innuendo stuff going on here. Damage Control, Dakota Kai, Io Sky taking on Pure Fusion Collectives, Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. Damage Control picking up the win. Probably one of the shortest matches, if not the shortest match of the night, coming in at about 5 and change. Short little thing. Okay, for what it was worth. Main event: Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, 1-on-1. Seth Rollins picking up the win. Solid ass main event match that went about 18 minutes between the two. Breaking news: the Ohio State Buckeyes defeated Notre Dame. For those of you that like your college football, there, Ohio State Buckeyes defeated Notre Dame 34-23 to win their 9th college football national championship and first since 2014. So congrats to Ohio State. I believe in miracles. Looking at what went down with the Commanders over the weekend, Commanders are now going to the AFC Championship. Like, my God, that is just insane to hear that my Washington Commanders are one game away from going to the Super Bowl. That is just mind blowing. I would like to believe a lot of organizations in the league are looking at Washington and they're going, okay, what the hell are they doing? That is definitely what we need to duplicate. Right. We got to somehow replicate that because, they're doing everything right. And it's so funny because I said to my wife, I said, what Josh Harris has been able to do with that organization in 2 years, mad respect. And she was like, no, you mean 1 year? I said, no, hon, 2 years. Because remember when Allen came in, he went on ahead and gave Ron Rivera an opportunity to keep his job. And, he pretty much flunked that out. And she was like, oh, yeah, like he did do that, right? Like, yeah, it is 2 years. Like, yeah, it's 2 years. Like, that's very impressive. So congrats to Ohio State. Good stuff. But yeah, fantastic main event match between Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. Interesting. I appreciate the fact that we didn't go necessarily with a clean finish here. We kind of did a little bit of a fluke. We threw a fluke monkey wrench in here essentially to keep both guys looking pretty strong and everything. And Drew McIntyre can definitely come out of this going, you got lucky, you son of a bitch. I appreciate that. Not to mention how post-match, immediately a very soured Drew McIntyre starts pounding on Seth Rollins. And of all the people to come out, Sami Zayn. And, kind of interesting here because earlier in the night, Sami Zayn had caught up with Rollins backstage. And he said to Rollins, "Hey, I heard a lot about what you had said. I thought about a lot of what you said to me the week prior. A lot of it made sense and everything. You're absolutely right. And I'm definitely going to do my best to be my very own man. And yeah, I just want to say, thanks for the talk." And Rollins told him, "Oh yeah, you're welcome. But now that I've said that, rest assured, come that Royal Rumble, every man for himself. I'm gonna do my best. Push come to shove, I'm throwing your ass over the top rope." And Sammy's like, "Not if I get you first." So it's kind of one of those deals. So some added friction here in these last few seconds because Drew McIntyre, he is just continuing to pounce here on Seth Rollins, doing the Glasgow kiss, all that. Sami Zayn comes in there, gets in a little bit of offense on Drew, gets ready to do the Halua kick as he's got McIntyre in the corner. So Rollins was in the corner as Drew beat him down, but then Sami is beating Drew down, has him in a position where he could do the Halua kick. Drew moves out the way in time. Rollins, unfortunately, takes that Halua kick. Drew rolls out smiling because essentially his job is done as far as stirring things up. And our show ends with Sami Zayn trying to give a pep talk to Rollins, letting him know, hey, that was unintentional, what happened, and it just pretty much went off the air. Curious to know if the cameras continued to roll and what all was captured after that. So, um, you could kind of be critical when it comes to this week's show because if you really think about the runtime of matches that we had in that first hour, that'll be some fun trivia for you guys that haven't watched this week's Raw yet. You're gonna be greatly disappointed because you're kind of going back and you're looking at it. You're like, wow. As far as the in-ring action for just the first hour, you're like, whoa, what the hell? Well, once you get past that, the Penta done great match. Main event stuff was pretty good. Building up Royal Rumble, definitely. The Owens Zayn crossover, solid stuff right there. And not for nothing, but definitely honorable mention to Bailey and Nia Jax and the way that whole thing ended up incorporating Rhea Ripley, trying to add more on to Saturday night's main event. Good stuff when it's all said and done. So look, going back to Saturday night's main event, for those of you that need a little bit of a refresher here, hopefully you guys will be able to watch this live in real time. I haven't figured out yet if I'm going to be doing a post show for Saturday night's main event. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. But here's how it's looking right now for this Saturday night main event on NBC, coming on at 8 p.m. Eastern. Remember, we got for the World Heavyweight Championship, Gunther taking on Jey Uso. Intercontinental Championship, Braun Breaker versus Sheamus. Braun Strowman will be taking on Jacob Fatu. Just announced Rhea Ripley defending her women's championship against Nia Jax. Also, we've got a contract signing for the undisputed World Heavyweight Championship match at the Royal Rumble between Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes. So a very solid card that we got for Saturday night's main event. Looking forward to it. I can't wait to see if the Hulkster is going to be incorporated there because we saw these past couple of weeks now they've spliced in Hulk Hogan promoting that event and everything. I can't help but wonder if he's somehow going to be incorporated there, and if so, are they going to run with some type of a pre-produced segment, or they're just going to abandon Hogan altogether? Can't wait to see how all that comes about. I'm just laughing at what CM Punk had said about the Hulkster tonight. That was just, I loved it. I ate that up. Put that as my new ringtone. That's how much I love that. Now, as far as what you guys had thought about this week's WWE Raw, I am looking at the poll on YouTube. YouTube.com/the RCWR show. Early votes coming in right now. It's a tie at 50%. Half of you felt it was an average show. The other half of you said it was an awesome show. Appreciate you guys. We're going to have a little bit of a better snapshot over on X, formerly known as Twitter. Right now, I'm seeing this is we're all over the place on this poll. 11% of you all said it was a below average show. 22% of you said it was an average show. 23% of you said you didn't enjoy it, honestly. Meanwhile, top dog, 44% of you said it was an awesome show. Appreciate you guys. Cast your votes on that. Going back to the Hulkster, though, I had a really fun conversation with my wife over the weekend, and we were talking about the whole Hulk Hogan real American beer promotion that went down on that Raw Netflix premiere and everything. And I was telling her, I said, from a marketing standpoint, I just don't understand why WWE would put Hogan, how they did not have the foresight to. And before anybody, okay, we're rehashing, but this comes with a really fun twist. You guys will like this. Just hang with me. Like how from a marketing standpoint, nobody had the foresight to wait, this probably is not going to go well. It makes you wonder if Triple H, maybe he knew possibly this was going to happen and he wanted to do it anyway because it would just tickle his fanny, right? Like there's just this part of me that's just picturing Triple H at Gorilla going, I knew that shit would happen, But then there's that other part of me that's kind of looking at this going, but did Hogan pretty much set himself up for failure? Sure, you have a minority partner in the WWE and everything, and yeah, you're the Hulkster, you and your team, you're bringing this beer to WWE and everything, talking about, hey, be a good partner, da, 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 da. One thing that was just is the fact that, wow, how come it wasn't Stone Cold Steve Austin and his Broken Skull IPA? Like, that's amazing that they and WWE weren't able to. And right down to the point, you notice that ever since Triple H has taken over, like nothing with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, it's like Stone Cold Steve Austin does not exist in the Triple H Paul Levesque era. I hope that changes very, very soon, but just something to kind of have in the back of your head. Let's keep talking about this real American beer stuff. So, I'm talking to the wife about how all this played out, and being the fact that I used to work in market research, I used to organize focus groups and everything for top companies, top companies. Microsoft, we used to stay doing stuff for Bethesda, the game publishing company, 2K. Hell, we even used to do stuff for EA Sports, even. So back in the day, I used to work with a lot of firms, a lot of companies for focus groups and everything. I'm looking at this and I'm going, look, going forward, if you're WWE, you would be a fool to continue to have the Hulkster out there promoting that real American beer. Okay, maybe you want to try to protect the Hulkster and you want to do some pre-produced segments. Well, be prepared because those are going to get booed by the crowds that see this play on the Titantrons there at the arenas. And that stuff is still going to make circulation on the internet and everything. So if you're WWE, what are you to do? And I proposed this really cool idea, which I thought, well, why didn't WWE think this way? And the only thing that makes sense to me, fam, is WWE probably were already thinking a couple of moves ahead, but they ultimately wanted for Hogan to bomb out. And the only way for that to have happened is for Hogan to pull the trigger on himself. So I kind of have this impression that as part of the negotiations or whatnot, kind of have a feeling that Hogan and his team, hey, look, we got this beer. We need you as a minority partner. WWE's like, okay, we're listening. And then maybe there was but Hogan's got to be the face of the beer. He's got to be, and WWE's like, they probably even said, like, really? You sure? Because no, we insist. And I think it was just kind of one of those, okay, well, he's going to have to find out the hard way. And all right, now that we end up doing business, we're going to make sure that the cards are in our favor. And then that way going forward, once he bombs out, we'll then be able to execute our real plan, which I think is this. And I really hope I'm on to something. This is when I lay this to me, I think this would be a really good marketing idea. But you want to talk about real American beer. I think this will work wonders for WWE, but they definitely need to remove the Hulkster, his likeliness, his image. They're going to need to remove that from the beer. Now, who do you replace Hogan with? Who do you replace Hogan on the can with? Who do you replace Hogan with for these commercials? It's easy. Close your eyes, everybody. Can you just picture a real American beer commercial and you've got the American dream, Cody Rhodes? Well, we're talking about the American nightmare, Cody Rhodes. But thinking about the American dream, Dusty Rhodes, how cool would that be, by the way? And my wife said this, I was like, shit, babe, that's a really good idea. She was like, do an alternate limited edition for Dusty. And I said to her, that's a damn good idea. I said, I'll see one and I'll raise you. What if WWE did limited edition cans of real American beer with certain WWE legends on them? And she's like, fuck yeah. I'm like, exactly. So just imagine the whole, reimagined marketing for this beer. You got Cody Rhodes do a limited edition can with Dusty. The American Badass, The Undertaker. I mean, come on, man. You don't really call yourself an American unless you're drinking real American beer. I mean, I can just see that like clear as day. You can obviously do a limited edition Undertaker can of beer. Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle. You can definitely do something with Kurt Angle. Bill Goldberg, for sure. You definitely do something with him. But I mean, we'd be here all night just going over key names, but you guys get the point. Like you can even do something with Chad Gable as well. For sure, Logan Paul. Look, WWE, they're doing all that stuff with Prime. You don't think Logan Paul will return the same gesture and, okay, yeah, real American beer, let's do that. Pat McAfee, my God, and just his respected base, and what they could do in promoting real American beer. So at this point, the way for it to really be a success and turn a profit for the company, this is how they're going to have to reimagine, revisit real American beer. They've got to totally just shake the funk off of that is Terry Bollea, Hulk Hogan. And that's the only way they're really going to be able to push forward. They basically are going to have to do a John Schneider, the Papa John's guy situation. Like a lot of people forget this, but he is still making money because he still has stock and shares and all that shit. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, he stepped down as the CEO and like, but he still has his respected shares. He hasn't sold it yet, as far as I know. So, but let me know what you guys think about that. If it was a situation where, let me know two things. One, if you like that idea that I just brought up on how WWE needs to go about this, and then two, if WWE were to do these things, would it make you okay? Now as a wrestling fan, now as a person that drinks alcohol, now I'm interested in real American beer. And I think we'll follow up with a poll. I'll probably put up the poll maybe 24, 48 hours after the show, have it out for on demand and on the downloads. I think then we'll go on ahead and put the poll out. And hey, all right, now you guys have had some time to think about it. What say you? And we'll revisit it next week because I'm definitely curious. But I definitely feel we're on to something here. So hopefully WWE will look into doing those things. But hey, time will tell. Time will tell. Want to give a shout out to Allie Katch. Allie Katch, that's somebody I haven't really watched her matches on a regular basis, but I know enough about her to know, yeah, she's pretty solid. Definitely check her out. Like if you were to throw the name at me, oh, yeah, mainly does some stuff for GCW, and yeah. So she injured. Oof, she broke her leg big time at a GCW event over the weekend, the People versus GCW. And she underwent successful surgery at that Sunday event. She apparently broke her leg in two places during her match with Effie at that show. And there was a GoFundMe that was created. And as it stands right now, that we're here tonight, last I saw, they hit a little over $48,000. Their goal was 50,000. So definitely, I would say by the time we go to sleep and we wake up in the morning, the goal should be obtained. Uh, there's a new X-ray that's floating around that shows where that injury took place as far as the breakage, and it's just, whew, I mean, literally, what a tough break, no pun intended. Speedy recovery to Allie Katch. Also, it's been a good minute since we talked about the NWA promotion. You may find this interesting, especially if you were ever a fan of the wrestler Jax Dane, who we had talked about here several weeks ago, that died on Christmas Day last month. Complications of it's either a stroke or a heart attack that occurred. Well, tomorrow, so Tuesday, check this out. For the January 21st edition of NWA Power, they're going to be including the last filmed match of Jax Dane. And Jax Dane, multi-time NWA champion, world heavyweight champion for the respected promotion. NWA Chief Operating Officer Joe Galley said in part, "This will be an emotional broadcast for everyone viewing." He would go on to say that Jax Dane was such a cornerstone of the National Wrestling Alliance, truly a beloved figure among fans and in the locker room. This episode of NWA Power is going to hit differently for us all. It is an opportunity to come together and celebrate Jax's career and last on camera appearance with the National Wrestling Alliance. And there was a press release kind of highlighting some of the stuff that's going to be happening on this episode. In its original context, Tuesday's outing was a high stakes tag match with potential future title implications. Dane and partner Baron Von Storm faced reigning NWA champion Mims and Black G's. Now, however, the matches take a new meaning. It stands as a reminder of just how beloved Dane was and the special bond he shared with partner Storm. He was my brother, said Storm at the time of the grappler's passing. We had over 100 matches together and against each other, shared the man who defeated Dane for the 10 pounds of gold just prior to the launch of the Lightning One era. I've never been hit harder by any opponent. The Dane Storm tag match is the only one of 5 big matches on this week's edition of NWA Power. We're also going to be seeing the NWA World Heavyweight Champion Tom Latimer in a non-title match. Also on the broadcast, Kobe Carino and Joe Ocasio face Magic, Duke DeMoss, and the Mags Zion. And the 2024 Crockett Cup winner, Kerry Morton of the Southern Six in singles action. EC3 will also be in the house. Also, there's a hard-hitting women's match joint going on between Natalia Markova and Lo Prancia Tiffany Neves as they continue their rivalry in the main event. So make sure you check that out. That should be streaming on their YouTube channel and all the usual outlets that you guys are able to usually watch NWA. Let's talk about TNA Genesis. I was able to watch that event in its entirety. I gotta say, I enjoyed the card overall, with the partnership expansion between TNA and WWE. Hearing about this Genesis card, I said, well, you know what? It's going to be live and anything can happen as far as NXT talent showing up. And then, not to mention, the card looks pretty solid. You know what? I think I'm going to go on ahead, and check this out. And overall, I would definitely say TNA put on one hell of an event. That honestly, let me put it to you this way. I'm gonna break it down a couple of ways. If you are that wrestling fan that maybe slept on TNA for a while, I would say to you guys, look, if your only issue with TNA was being able to access it on a regular basis, if you have the income, maybe going out of your way to get a TNA plus monthly subscription so you can watch episodes of Impact. Okay, go ahead and do that. I would say is definitely worth the money because the few times I have been able to poke my head throughout 2024, I've always liked what I've seen. To see what came about from the pay-per-view, they definitely got me very curious. I'm definitely going to be watching the promotion a lot more. It's interesting because when AEW had first came around, just the high expectations that we all had and just the nosedive that it has taken over years. We're definitely going to be talking about what's going on with Ray Phoenix and Britt Baker in just a hot little bit. But yeah, I would say if you're looking for an alternative, you've got the income, check out TNA. If you're on that fence now with AEW and you're like, I need to check out a new alternative because AEW is just, it's not, I would say, check out TNA. Doing a lot of good stuff on here. Pre-show, Jake Something defeated Ashanti the Adonis. Also on the pre-show, Frankie Kazarian defeated Leon Slater. The X Division Championship match, Moose retaining over Ace Austin. Pretty solid way to open up the pay-per-view. Was refreshing to my ears to still hear Moose come out to that trademark song that I used to mess with from back in the day. Eric Young and Steve Macklin defeating the Systems, Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers tag match. By the way, smart booking on TNA Wrestling's part and how we did a perfect segue with Moose and Ace Austin to Eric Young, Steve Macklin in the System. That was very, very smooth because all of those guys have intertwined off and on from last year. So that was a nice smooth transition that they had going on there. Spitfire, Jody Thread, and Danny Luna. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. That was my first time at the Genesis event from Sunday watching those girls in action. I've seen their names thrown around, but I've never taken the time to actually sit down and watch them in action. They retained their TNA Knockouts tag titles against Ash by Elegance Heather, and who was the other one? Ash by Elegance, and Heather by Elegance. That's what I was thinking of. Defeated those two. I love that Spitfire. That is a very unorthodox tag team. I mean, great synergy. Great synergy. I was quite taken back, especially by Danny Luna. That Danny Luna, she a real head turner. I mean, she's giving me Chris Statlander meets Willow Nightingale vibes combined. Very, 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 very talented girl there. Tessa Blanchard picking up a win over Jordan Grace. This was definitely one of my favorite matches of the night. Besides Spitfire, really seeing Spitfire, just the way they were. I didn't care so much about the Elegance girls, but just Spitfire definitely. But where I finally was like, okay, I'm awake. Jordan Grace, Tessa Blanchard. Although I must say, and I shared this on my Facebook page, I got a kick out of hearing the crowd at one point yell at Tessa Blanchard, "She's a racist. She's a racist." I popped real hard hearing that. Tessa Blanchard, look, she still has it. She still has it. Man, that girl has gotten so damn small. She has gotten much smaller. And she's already a small girl as it is, right? But uh she's not as muscular anymore. That's essentially what I'm saying. How you maybe remember her last, she's not of that build anymore. Remember, she used to have the shoulders and none of that. So it's a very petite build now. I can remember a time where, this isn't me being disgusting or anything. I'm just being totally honest. I remember a time when Tessa Blanchard used to pal out. She had a little something going on in the back. Flat as a pancake now. I mean, she has gotten very, very small. Um, but the way she moves is still, and when you're looking at her in this match against Jordan Grace, you see some of the new things that she picked up while she was over down in Mexico, working with a few Spanish promotions and everything. It's not an alarm because I don't want people going, damn, is she anorexic? Like, no, not by any stretch whatsoever. She just looks like, okay, I'm gonna stop putting on muscle mass. I'm gonna focus more on cardio instead. That's how it looks. I'm quite sure if you were to see her build, you would go, yeah, that is pretty small. I need her to stop right there. Like, she don't need to get any more smaller. She needs to stop right there. But a good match Tessa Blanchard had there with Jordan Grace. Probably one of the funniest things that came from out of that match is the fact that Tessa Blanchard was struggling big time with the turnbuckle. And I mean, she was trying so hard to rip the turnbuckle padding off of the middle section of a corner. And you got the referee seeing what's going on clear as day. And the referee's like, hey, what are you doing? Stop that. Leave that alone. And Tessa Blanchard is just, I mean, I'll just, she's just, and she's just trying, and it's not budging. It was not budging. Then several minutes later, she's back in that same corner, and she's like, "Okay, well, the middle section didn't work. Let me try the I don't know, it was the top or the bottom." She's like, "Let me try this one," and she's just rah 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 rah, and that's not budging. Some of the hilarious shit. The third time, she went back because it's like now several minutes later. She goes back. She tries, I don't know if it was the middle turnbuckle, but she goes back one more time. She's like, God damn it, you're gonna come off, motherfucker. And she finally gets it off. Like, okay, now we're cooking. Now I guess we're gonna, because as I saw this the first go round, I'm thinking, okay, this is somehow gonna be incorporated in the finish. But the fact that Tessa kept struggling to get that poor thing off, fucking hilarious. And also what was just head scratching is the fact that, wait a minute, we see clear as day what Tessa's trying to do. The referee sees clear as day what Tessa is trying to do. And yet, the final moments of this matchup, when Tessa Blanchard rams Jordan Grace into that exposed turnbuckle and then hits her finisher, the referee doesn't have the common sense to go, no, like, no, we're not. No, you're disqualified. No, 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 hell no. Like, what the hell? That was just kind of baffling. But 1, 2, 3, Tessa Blanchard picking up a W over Jordan Grace. Now we're hearing some mixed news that's going on, aren't we, fam, in regards to Tessa Blanchard? On one hand, you hear this stuff about, Tessa Blanchard, she hasn't signed a deal with TNA. There's nothing going on with Tessa Blanchard, and it, they're just random appearances here and there. They kind of have it figured out, when she's gonna. But now you're hearing that apparently she has inked some type of a deal with TNA Wrestling. Well, wait a minute, which one is it? Because we're hearing this one thing. Tessa was saying she didn't sign anything, but now you got word that she has signed something, and has always signed something. She obviously is saying something entirely different. Like, what's going on here? I don't know. One thing I do know is way it looks. Jordan Grace, what is fact? She got a standing ovation by her peers and all of that. She got a nice proper send off. Safe to say we're going to be seeing her start up in WWE very shortly. I'm very excited for her. I can't wait to see her officially on the main roster. I would imagine we're going to be seeing her debut at the Royal Rumble, right? I mean, that is just a foregone conclusion. Tessa Blanchard, I just can't help but think about her and think about whether or not she truly is going to be successful this go round. And just seeing how that crowd was responding to her all throughout that match against Grace, it's a tough hill to climb. I think this is a situation that could be very similar to the Hulkster. I think this is a situation where, the fans are like, okay, Tessa Blanchard may be talented, but with all the stuff that we as fans know about her, it's really hard for us to put her past transgressions, her past mistakes to the side and try to look at her in a new light, and I think that's mainly because when you have a situation where, hey, you're part of the problem, so what are you doing to create healthy dialogue and how we all should treat our fellow man and woman, right? If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And I think the fact that there were so many lies that she put out there rather than take the self accountability early on. And then, on top of that, a lot of people keep saying, oh, this is Tessa Blanchard's second redemption tour. She's seeking redemption for the second time. And I'm going, if you're counting how many times she's fucked up in the wrestling industry, no. She burned TNA. She fucked that up. Then she went over to WOW, Women of Wrestling. And she royally, fucked that up. Let's not also forget, if you really want to be technical, let's not also forget when she was briefly working with the WWE on the NXT side of things. And for whatever respective reason, she rubbed heads in WWE the wrong way. And they pretty much was like, yeah, we're good. So if you're being technical, that's 3. But, I'll be that Professor Sanders and I'll kind of ignore the NXT days. So we're looking at 2. So if you're being technical, it's like, okay, this is her 3rd. But if you're going to count NXT, you're like, this is her 4th time here. Well, maybe that 4th time be the charm. It's until she really opens up and is really sincere, until yeah. And here's the thing: I love these people that get these opportunities to interview people like Tessa Blanchard, but we got these motherfuckers that are more interested in getting themselves over, getting their podcasts and all that over. Nobody's saying you got to be Geraldo Rivera or whatever. I don't know who else is current right now. That's Anderson Cooper, right? Nobody's saying you got to go the Anderson Cooper route and ask hard hitting questions and shit, but like you should be able to not play footsie with a motherfucker and just okay, so XYZ. And I don't know, maybe at this point, a guy like Chris Van Vliet, maybe a guy like him can really get to the heart of the matter in regards to Tessa Blanchard. But I think until there is that definitive interview where society as a whole can truly judge for themselves in regards to Tessa Blanchard. And then, not just take her words at face value, but pay more attention to her actions going forward. And I think that's mainly the main reason why that a lot of fans are still pretty salty about Tessa Blanchard is because, okay, you know, we got you, but what's that next move? Because that next important move that's going to tell us all that we need to know. I found myself over the weekend. I was watching on YouTube David Letterman clips. I was just feeling nostalgia. And one clip I had checked out particularly was when David Letterman addressed his blackmail situation. Shout out to you older fans that remember. But yeah, there's this episode of Late Night with David Letterman. And he talked about how he was getting blackmailed by this person that was aware of like all these heinous, despicable things that he was doing. And one of the things that David Letterman was doing, he was sleeping around with different women that was part of his late night show staff. Now, anybody would go, so what's the big deal? Well, he was married at the time, so he was cheating on his wife. And this guy was trying to extort David Letterman for like $2 million, and he's telling him, look, I have enough material here. I will make a tell-all book. I'll make a movie. And David Letterman telling the audience, telling America at home what all was going on here, while at the same time taking self accountability and all that. I thought it was a riveting, because here's this guy who's just letting this all hang out, right? He could have easily just quietly, not told the public about this, but he got in front of it, and you're just like, wow. And then it goes, okay, so what's that next step going forward? Now that you've said what you've said here, what's that next step going forward? Are you still gonna continue in your cheating ways? Are you still gonna and happy to say that after David Letterman, got all that out, he worked things out with his wife and they pretty much still together to this very day. So it's always that next, right? All because of that interview. So throwing it back to Tessa Blanchard until we see a situation with her where it's like, okay, I hear the words, but what about the action? I think until we as wrestling fans see that action following up behind the words, she's going to continue to get the reactions that she's getting. So, and if those type of reactions that we just talked about continue on, I don't think WWE wants to have any part of no. Mike Santana defeating Josh Alexander in a I Quit match. This is where the Northern Armory was banned from ringside. Josh Alexander quitting not just his match, but quitting TNA. We talked about this several weeks ago where a lot of TNA contracts were coming up for expiration. Added time was added to the contract of Josh Alexander. And by all accounts, Josh Alexander, unless he's able to work out some type of a new deal with TNA, Josh Alexander is looking to test the free agency, test his worth, and see what's really available out there for him. So we'll see what's going on with that. The Hardys defended their TNA tag titles against the Rascals, Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz. That was actually a fun little match. It was also great seeing Fraxium, Nathan Frazier and Axiom, the current NXT tag champions. They were in the house. They made an appearance and everything. Rascals had bumped into them. Fraxium was ready to throw down. They kind of bumped a little bit there with the Hardys. They were ready to throw down. Nice little exchange that was going on there. And it just got me raising an eyebrow going, oh man, wouldn't that be something if we saw the Hardys pop up on NXT, particularly coming into the face Fraxium? That would, and right as I said that on social media, we find out after the Hardys retain that apparently Fraxium is going to defend their NXT tag titles against the Rascals on this coming Thursday's live edition of Impact. I'm going to try to do my best to, I don't have access to Access TV. So I think I might end up picking up a TNA Plus subscription. I'm going to do my very best to check that out because I definitely want to watch that. TNA, we talked about this several weeks ago. They we're toying around with the idea of doing more live episodes. And you know what? That's great to hear. That's great to hear. That's what we need, honestly. Take advantage of this great momentum that you got going on here, particularly with your partnership with WWE. Masha Slamovich defeated Rosemary in a Clockwork Orange House of Fun match to retain the TNA Knockouts Championship. Pretty damn good matchup. Rosemary, I have had the biggest crush on Rosemary, not just as a wrestling fan, but just cool wrestling figures. Like, period. I've always dug her. Man, you know, I was rooting for Rosemary there, and I was just so disappointed there. I like Slamovich, but I'm a huge Rosemary fan. So that was a pretty good hardcore match for all intents and purposes. It was a pretty good hardcore match. Afterwards, Cora Jade making an appearance, and she got into the face of Marsha Slamovich, letting her know she wants a crack at that TNA Knockouts Championship. You're going, oh shit, like for real? Marsha Slamovich and Cora J, like, are you serious? Like, that's what's up. That's what's up. If they're gonna do that, I'm down. I'm totally down for that. And in the main event match, Joe Hendry defeating Nick Nemeth to become the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Nick Nemeth's brother Ryan was banned from ringside. About damn time. About damn time that TNA Wrestling pulled the trigger there on Joe Hendry. I thought this was going to happen. What was the previous pay-per-view? There was one pay-per-view where it was like you thought for sure Joe Hendry was going to get the job done, but it just wasn't his night. Because I remember talking about that briefly here on the show, but no, they finally pulled the trigger. Long time coming. Honestly, I was kind of getting to that point where, well, are they ever gonna really pull the trigger on this guy? Like, you know, what the hell? And they finally did. That's good. That's good. And I thought he held his own extremely well against Nick Nemeth. Nemeth, right guy, right time, right place. When TNA needed him as a world heavyweight champion, definitely the right guy to essentially be in place for Nick Nemeth to ultimately lose, the championship to. Joe Hendry was in the right place. Nick Nemeth, like everything aligned perfectly. I personally felt. Because yeah, you're just looking at the current landscape, and it's like, nah, it really wouldn't be that believable, would it? If it was Joe Hendry getting the championship off of a guy like maybe Moose, like that really wouldn't be believable, wouldn't? You know, Josh Alexander, like would that maybe possibly that could under the right story or possibly, but in this case for it to be Nick Nemeth, yeah, that's good. Joe Hendry too, by the way, calling out John Cena, saying he would love to take John Cena on for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship since Cena is doing this whole farewell tour. I gotta tell you, I really, really like the idea of John Cena doing something with TNA. The only thing is, this goes back to what we were talking about on last week's show, which is okay, I'm all for TNA doing their very best to capitalize on this partnership with WWE, but WWE at the same time, yeah, they're getting exposure, yeah, they're kind of getting that look at, maybe some future talents they maybe want to incorporate on their roster and everything, but on the TNA side of things, you definitely need to be looking at the bigger picture as well, which is, well, look, if the end result of this does not consist of you getting a better TV deal, getting better live exposures for your shows, then this is all for nothing. Remember that? And the message from last week was TNA, learn from your mistakes with what happened with your partnership with AEW and, do what you got to do to really evolve here. Because if you're not evolving, if you're not adapting with the times, you know, you're hurting yourself and your brand when it's all said and done. So I love the idea of a John Cena, but I'm sure many of you like the idea of a John Cena doing something with TNA wrestling as well. But like the only way that is really, really, really going to thrive is if there are a whole bunch of eyeballs that's able to access the content. That's the key. Um, I don't know. I don't know, fam. The only way I could see something like that really working out. I know there's a rumor going around right now where TNA Wrestling is supposed to be doing a whole bunch of live shows in February. Like they're supposed to be continuing on with live episodes of Impact. Maybe you do something pretty interesting on those shows. Maybe Access TV in the process. Yo, let's keep this going. Let's continue to keep doing live shows each week. And I don't know. I don't know. Only time is going to tell. But that current deal that they got with Access, like that's like we said last week. If they want to keep that deal where Access TV they get first dibs and all that, hey, that's great. But you definitely need to be thinking about syndication, and if that means ultimately uh, maybe you're able to get a partner thanks to WWE and doing something with the CW on weekends. I still like that idea. That'd be a great 1-2 punch. Have Impact on the weekends, do a nice little 3-hour block of wrestling, follow that up with some Wild Women wrestling, like that'd be really good. Hell, if it's highly unlikely, but uh New Japan and TNA, I know New Japan, they're now out of their USA deal. I don't know if this means New Japan is going to be snuggling up more with AEW in hopes that ultimately they can try to get some type of a US TV deal. Those of you thinking, well, maybe since New Japan and TNA, like not with AEW being that mistress that's looking on going, you're really doing something with her? Yeah, pump your brakes on that one. I don't really see that happening. I'd buy more into I'd buy more into TNA and WWE trying to before I would buy into TNA and New Japan as far as the TV deal goes. But no, TNA Genesis, pretty solid card overall. Definitely recommend guys go out of your way, check the event out. when you guys get a chance. And let's see some other stuff we can get into here on the show. You know, we were talking about Tony Khan and AEW just now. How about the report that's floating around about what's currently going on at Britt Baker? Did you guys check that out? For those of you that maybe are not aware, here is the report that is floating around. And when I read this to you guys, it's kind of one of those, what the fuck? So there's a report that's claiming that Britt Baker's AEW current status. It's interesting because it started off as what, and then the very last update, the claims of Britt Baker's AEW current status is being said that it's overblown. So the newest update, Brian Alvarez, he's saying that the reports that Baker may be done with the company are not accurate. Alvarez is reporting that according to multiple people within AEW, the stories are blown way out of proportion, and that while she is not used there, are not imminent plans for her to be used. There is nothing to the notion that she is finished there. Now, this stems from an original report that PW Torch's Wade Keller put out, saying that Britt Baker may be on her way out of AEW, as Tony Khan in the locker room are said to be frustrated with her. This has led to Khan not booking her on television. And for those of you that's keeping track at home, her last match was back in November, where she defeated Penelope Ford. The rumor is that Baker has become difficult to work with in recent months, and another minor incident became the straw that broke the camel's back for removing her from television. According to the report, Khan has her in a group of wrestlers who don't get phone calls and aren't called in to show up. Presumably, that would be wrestlers like Miro or Ricky Starks, who haven't been on television in months, but the report doesn't mention who else is in that category. Britt Baker is said to be wildly unpopular in the women's locker room. One source noted that no one in the locker room wants her to come back. Remember, it was just back in August in regards to that whole MJF situation. For those of you that may remember that alleged incident, along with other issues that have come up, are the reason for her absence. It was noted that she had a reputation for being hard to work with anyway, and that she has only that has only increased recently. There was said to be one incident in particular in which people just threw their hands up. There is said to be a feeling that the company has a strong women's division and they no longer need to deal with her. The end of her relationship with Adam Cole is not the reason for what's going on, and there is likely no heat on Cole, and he has nothing to do with her not being on television. Tony Khan is just fed up with Baker and wants to focus TV time on other people. As far as her contract goes, not knowing what's going on, but she's not expected to be back in AEW anytime soon. So that's excuse me, that is where we are right now on the Britt Baker situation. I chimed in my thoughts about this on social media because I had saw my buddy John Draper commented on this, and shout out to him. John had said, let's be honest, she always came across like she was 5 seconds away in real life from calling your manager if the Starbucks order was wrong, and has a huge chip on her shoulder. Funny thing, when the ship starts sinking, everybody miraculously notices that they're about to drown. So, I told him I was going to steal that joke, but it's all good. If anything, add on to it. My comments on this, I said, seriously, though, This is what happens when one gets money and fame too fast and too soon. Whatever negative traits of a personality hasn't been squashed is amplified. Whatever going on with Baker, humble pie is coming. Um, Very weird what's going on with Britt Baker, because I got to tell you, having seen her a couple of years back on the Chris Jericho cruise, I saw her on the Triple Whammy cruise as part of my wedding honeymoon. It was weird what was going on. There's a lot of things on that cruise that was, when I play it back in my head. But one thing that was really cool was Britt Baker. As I was in line waiting to do my photo op with her and everything, I was seeing her take the time out, talking with people, thanking them for coming to see her. She was quite taken back at how long her line was, because she definitely had one of the top three longest lines as far as meet and greets go. Her line went out the yin yang. I mean, there were just seas of people upon people upon people. That shit damn near, and I'm not exaggerating. Anybody that was on that triple whammy cruise that went to meet Britt Baker will tell you her line pretty much almost wrapped around the entire boat. That's how long her line was, from inside going on out. But she was a sweetheart. She seemed very humble at that time, and everything. Look, Britt Baker is in a place right now where she really does not need the wrestling. She's got her little dental practice, she's got her license and all that. She's making good money. She is basically gonna be fine financially regardless. If Tony Khan were to call her up and say, look, she is just fine. She is not gonna have any crocodile tears. She's not gonna be making a boo-boo face. She is a woman that basically, she's got options. She does not need wrestling. Maybe she might need it from the standpoint of if she's trying to become a reality star. But you would like to believe that in the years that she's worked with Tony Khan and AEW, that by now she's definitely made her respected connections. So as far as some type of a reality career, a reality TV career post AEW, she would definitely if she hasn't made her connections by now, like, and I would have a hard time believing she didn't, because that would just be silly. That would just be very, very silly. But she definitely is somebody that you hear all this stuff about her. And look, I know that but it's rumors. There are people that I know who directly know people that work for AEW that have front row ringside seats backstage to a lot of this shit that is going on in regards to Britt Baker. And some of the stuff that I have heard about Britt Baker, it is not good. It is not good, fam. Um, Look, this coming week's AEW programming, that should be a telling tale. Honestly, the next 2 weeks, the next several weeks, because AEW's got the All In event that's going to be coming up, Grand Slam and everything. Those events are going to be very interesting, because that will tell us all we need to know as far as how does Britt Baker factor in this first 2 quarters of AEW programming. That will tell us all we need to know, because if she's not involved with the promotion, then yeah, it's safe to say that something is going on. There is trouble in paradise going on there between her, Tony Khan slash AEW. But one thing is for certain, Tony Khan is in a position now in 2025 versus when AEW first launched. I have commended the hell out of. You've heard me many times on the show say the women's division and where it is right now. This women's division in AEW, there is so much great depth. Tony Khan has a unprecedented amount of talent that for his women's rosters, like, okay, next woman up, what's up? I mean, he's got so many great options of talent to choose from that if Britt Baker is acting a particular way, he doesn't need to continue on with that headache. He can easily just and who knows, maybe Tony Khan is kind of now going, you know what, not for nothing, but I think I'm kind of understanding now why WWE had passed on her initially. Maybe they kind of saw these little warning signs or whatnot. Maybe they kind of right, like you would like to believe that because we hear from time to time, oh, the fact that WWE passed on, well, maybe they saw something that we didn't see. That was kind of this might be a little bit of a warning here. And sure enough, you see, elsewhere, and it's you think maybe this is kind of maybe this is why, it's one of those, type of things. Draper saying, I don't have strong feelings about her either way, although I found some of her social media behavior to be utterly fucking disgusting. Totally in agreement. But she's also a fucking dentist, and doesn't really need to get very true. She does not need to gig. I've always been a firm believer in when a person see, this is a slippery slope. But I'm gonna give it to you on the real. And we're gonna talk about Ray Phoenix. When you have a situation where, okay, this person's goals, aspirations, it definitely seems like 100% of them is not fully committed to what I need of them in this position over here. It looks like they, then it's one of those things where you go, okay, you know what, obviously so let's do them a solid. Let's lighten the load for them a little bit, because obviously they got a whole bunch of other different things that's going on, and I can respect that and everything. But at the end of the day, this is a business, right? I got certain goals, certain things that as a promoter, as a business that I'm trying to accomplish. And obviously, you know, they ain't on the same page as me and what I'm trying to do. I mean, real talk. A lot of people can relate to this from a working standpoint. I know one of the last jobs that I had before I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go on ahead and 100% just work for myself while juggling college. Like, I don't need this drama. I don't need this crap. I remember when I was working retail, just one last time. And back then I was juggling a college schedule part-time. I was also juggling writing quite a lot for the guys over there on the 401 Mania side. Shout out to them. And I also had another part-time gig. So I was a jack of all trades. And I can remember my retail job, there'd be times where they would ask me for certain things, to do certain things, pick up an extra shift. And I had already told them way before they even hired me, hey, look, this is when I'm available. This is what I can do. This is what I can't do. And that was honored. Then they started fucking with my schedule. And I was like, hey, look, I got this. And I'll never forget. And it stayed with me. And I told my wife, I said, what was one of the deciding factors ultimately and me rolling out from that company? I said, this happened. And what got the ball rolling for me was, I remember there was this one time I was saying XYZ to my manager in front of his boss. And that manager said to me, I don't care. And it was just one of those things that was like, okay, yeah, because at the end of the day, you care about your bottom dollar. You care about, what's going to make your company thrive. You say you care about college students. You say you care about those that, and you want to try to encourage them to do better for themselves. But you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. Like, now I see your true colors. Yeah, nah, I'm good. And from that moment on, I started planning my exit. It took me a little while, but made my exit. I did. So, it's interesting what's going on there with Britt Baker. I always say focus on those that want to be working with you, want to continue to do business with you, and all of that, as opposed to those that are just coming off like miserable little fucks, right? Your guess is as good as mine what's going to happen with the Britt Baker situation. But if I were to hear Tony Khan were to cut ties with her, I wouldn't be sad. I wouldn't be glad. If anything, I would just go, okay, women's roster. Hey, obviously this person was a thorn in y'all's side. Well, that thorn is now gone. So back to business as usual. Ray Phoenix, by the way, posted a new image of himself on social media where he's wearing a straight jacket. A lot of interesting comments I see about the Ray Phoenix situation. I know the man formerly known as Baron Corbin gave some really, really good thoughts about that. It's sad that a lot of people were looking at what he was saying and interpreting it as him trying to cozy up to Tony Khan, trying to get a job. I'm just looking at these people going, these motherfuckers have no idea, and they probably have never seen a wrestling contract before in their entire life. Enter Lee Sanders, and we've done it right here on this show a couple of times off and on throughout the years that we've been on the air. We have dissected a wrestling contract. We've dissected a WWE contract, and we've dissected a AEW contract. We've gone over the language and all of that. Look, when it's all said and done in regards to the Ray Phoenix situation, understand something. Ray Phoenix, just like every other AEW wrestler, WWE wrestler, TNA wrestler, they signed a contract. Now, in that contract, depending on the wrestling promotion, but vast majority of wrestling promotions, there is no, okay, look, in your contract, you are guaranteed to appear on television 150 times. No, there is no. Instead, it is, look, we're going to pay you X amount of money for X amount of years. Now, if that talent gets injured, at the discretion of that promotion, especially if the language has already been laid out clear as day and signed in that contract, hey, at the employer's discretion, they can tack on more time. If you're out for X amount of, if they want to, they can tack on more time if they're trying to get that time back. That's at their discretion. They can do that. It might suck and, all of that good stuff, but at their discretion, they can do that. If there is a option to pick up that talent for another year, if the employer has that option, they can exploit that. It would suck, especially if a talent has made it be known, hey, I'm on my way out. I'm not interested. I want to look. We've seen this type of stuff happen all the time in some of our favorite sports. NFL, basketball for sure. NBA happens all the time. Oh, I want out. And, some of those organizations are like, we got you for one more year. We have the option to pick up one more year for your contract there. We're going to do that. We're going to do that. Look at what was going on if you're an NFL fan. Look what was happening many years back when it came to, who was it? Kirk Cousins, when he was with the Commanders. Washington wasn't ready to fully commit to this guy. And instead, it was one of those, okay, well, you know what? Let's just do a 1 year deal, maybe a 2 year deal, just to kind of, yeah, because we really can't commit just yet. Now, ultimately, we lost Kirk Cousins. We ultimately lost him because Washington would not fully commit. They would not fully commit. Talked a good game, but when shit when it came down, to the wire, it was like, yeah, no, we're good. So I look at this stuff that's going on with Ray Phoenix, and it sucks, right? And here's something else to think about too. Here's something else that I need people to think about, because we see so many people that's complaining about this whole Ray Phoenix thing and all that. Like, understand something: a contract was signed. A contract was signed. I'm gonna say it again: a contract was signed. When you sign these contracts, and you think you can kind of finagle or change your mind, you have a second change of heart and all this other shit, like, no, you get that in front of a judge. Who you think the judge is going to side with? So, it's funny because I'm reminded of this one employer. I think it was 2 years ago. My wife came close to jumping ship from the dental practice that she's been with all these years. And she was about to jump ship and go to a dental practice in Virginia. And she ended up doing a working interview with these guys, got a really bad vibe from these guys. It was a really, really bad vibe that she got. She couldn't quite put her finger on it. She got along working with the husband just fine, but the wife was the one that she was really kind of iffy about. And I remember when she was telling me all this, I just said, well, trust your gut instincts. If your gut instincts is giving you, it's like, listen to him. You're probably on to something there. Long story short, she ended up not taking the employment from these new guys. And there was a contract. This is how close. This is how it ties back to what we're talking about with Ray Phoenix. The new employers, because she was able to work out her salary, all of that. So they emailed her this contract, and they wanted for her to sign everything and email it all back to her. That's what was going on. She was to sign each document electronically and email it all back. No, 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 no. No. It was all printed out. It was given to her. She was to sign it and then stop by the office to drop it off and everything. And I remember after she had decided, no, I don't want to work for these guys. Like, I'm getting a bad vibe and yada, yada, yada. And the husband, he kept trying. He kept trying to. My wife did not have the heart to let him know, look, you're cool, but your wife's an asshole, and I know it's her practice too, but you guys said you need help in this department. Like, part of that, you gotta let these people that obviously know about this position more than you do. You gotta let them do their thing in that position, right? You can't be shackling them and all that. And I remember saying to my wife, I said, aren't you glad you didn't sign that contract? Because if you would have put your signature on that and you turned it in, you handed it in, from that point forward, you're theirs. And that is legally binding. Like, they could have made issues for you, essentially, in court. And she was like, yeah. She was like, yeah, I'm glad that I did not. So, throwing it back on the whole Ray Phoenix thing and everything, when it's all said and done, this man signed a contract. And shout out to Tony Khan and crew, for going, okay, look, no, 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 contrary to how you guys might be feeling. And yeah, grass is, maybe it's a little bit greener, over here. no, you're not gonna be punking me out. You're not gonna be trying to punk me out, bitch me out because I do it for you. Then I'm gonna have to do it for all these other people over here. Like, no, fuck that. We're not gonna roll like that. And if that means that Tony Khan needs to just have this guy be sitting down somewhere getting his money. Now, before anybody goes, yeah, but the guy is sitting on his ass. He's not on TV. Contract doesn't guarantee him X number of television appearances. It just guarantees him X amount of money he's supposed to make during the length of that contract. That's it. That is okay. So Tony Khan is responsible, to a certain part with his contractual obligations. Ray Phoenix is responsible, or that AEW respected talent is responsible for their side to, a certain amount, on their side when it comes to the contract. That's it. Plain as day. Clear as day. Now, what I will go, man, that's fucked up. Boy, that comes off petty. What I will agree with a majority of you all on the fact that Phoenix's merch has been pulled from the AEW site. And the only reason why I know that, I used to stay going on the AEW site, looking at different merch, seeing, if there's any cool designs, things of that nature. Because the running gag I would always have is, man, I can't see myself pushing that, because it was just wasn't creative enough, the AEW designs and all that. And I do remember, oh, wow, Ray Phoenix, like they pulled his shit. They actually pulled. All right, so at least there'd be some type of way for the guy to make some extra money, on the side or whatever. Like now he doesn't even have that option through AEW. Like, wow, that kind of sucks. But when it's all said and done, it is all contractual, and it's easy for people that have not seen these contracts. I've been fortunate enough to look at various wrestling contracts over the years, but it's easy for those that have not seen a wrestling contract to be like, oh, that's unfair. It's not right, but when you do look at these and you get into the legality of it all, it's like, well, got you by the balls. You signed that contract, that's what it is. That's what you wrote. Speaking of writing, Tammy, Sunny Sitch. Sunny, did you hear about this? She and boy, this got shot down real fucking quick. Check this out. So, as we have talked about here extensively on the show, we even did a live special when it came to the verdict being handed for Tammy Sitch. That whole DUI that killed that nice old man and everything. So she called herself writing a letter to a Florida court judge asking for her prison sentence to be reduced. I see the letter that she wrote to this judge, and looking at this letter, I just couldn't help but go, yeah, you know what? This is definitely going to get shot down real fucking quick. And it did. I mean, like record timing, this thing got shut down. This is what she wrote. It's about a page and a half. Honorable Judge Foxman, during my incarceration at Lowell Correctional Institution, I have been attempting to make the most of my time by reflecting upon my crime while also striving to be a positive influence on other inmates. All right, we're off to a decent start. To that end, I have recently graduated from the Culinary Arts program with a certificate in culinary arts, which also includes ServSafe certification. Well, that's good for you. Good. I'm not being a dick here. I'm like, legit, that's good. I feel like as I'm reading this, y'all remember Denzel Washington and Malcolm X? I remember when Malcolm was finally starting to discover himself, and he stayed writing letters to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and Muhammad was like, the young man is coming along, Anyway, most recently, I have become a teacher's aide in one of the GED classrooms, helping others to realize their academic potential and earn their GED is something I have found to be very fulfilling. All right, cool, cool. Additionally, I have been chosen by Dr. Cole. Is that Cole? I'll say Cole, the director of education at the prison, to speak with the youthful offender inmates as a voice of reason. He has asked me to do a series of lectures and discussions with these young ladies about how prison has helped me gain a new life perspective and about the importance of not reoffending once they leave prison. Everything sounds good so far. Beyond my education and vocational achievements, I am also regularly attending Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. Good, good. And I'm being seen regularly for mental health counseling sessions. Good. You're hearing me say all that because I only downloaded the letters, this letter page and a half to the judge. So I'm experiencing this in real time, just like you guys. I have also begun making plans for my life after my prison sentence. Wait a minute. Now, this is where we need to pause. I don't mean to laugh, but this is where we need to pause. I have also begun making plans for my life after release from prison. Well, wait a minute. If I'm not mistaken, you're supposed to be in prison for like 10, 11, 12, 13 years. You've only been doing it almost maybe 2 years now. What do you mean you've been preparing to make plans for your life after prison? What, huh? Let's keep going. My former business partner, or correction, my former business attorney, Stephen P. New. God bless that Stephen P. New. I've heard a lot of good things about him. I know he's doing his thing representing there for Jim Cornette. Um, who else? The boys, Dalton Castle's boys, um, Kevin Kelly, CM Punk. Stephen P. New has offered me a job in his office as a paralegal and has offered me free housing while I am getting on my feet. Wow, that is nice. Seriously, that is nice. That is nice. I've been inspired by the idea of working with the youthful offenders while I am here, and I would like to continue to mentor youths once I am free. Okay. Therefore, I plan to visit high schools to talk about the dangers and consequences of drinking and driving in hopes of helping the students to make better choices than I have. I am extremely remorseful. As my actions led to a loss of life and grief for my victims' family and friends. I am dedicated to changing my life for the better and to being a positive light in any community in which I live. Y'all with me so far? It's almost done. I desire to serve others in a way possible, and in particular, will strive to help young people avoid alcohol and destructive decision making. I pray this honorable court will grant me grace and mercy in their consideration of this request to modify. Here we go. All that jerking off. Here we go. Here's cue up Don Henley's Heart of the Matter. Heart of the Matter. Here we go. I pray this honorable court will grant me grace and mercy in their consideration of this request to modify my sentence by running the incarcerative portions of my sentence on count 1 and 2 concurrent, or issue whatever relief this court deems appropriate. So that's where I'm like, that I see you now. That's what's going on. So, some fun trivia for you guys in regards to this. I want you guys to understand the difference. Let's see if we can pull this up for you guys. Because this is very important. I especially want for younger listeners to know the difference. So, consecutive sentences that requires serving one sentence after another, resulting in a longer total time in prison. Consecutive sentences. Meanwhile, concurrent sentences that allows serving multiple sentences simultaneously, with the longest sentence period being the controlling factor. Judges decide based on factors like the nature of the crimes and the defendant's criminal history. So essentially, what Tammy Sitch is looking to do here, what she was trying to have be done here, is basically, okay, I'm supposed to, do like 10, 11, 12, 13 years off of, count 1 and 2 and everything. Uh, but yeah, if we can somehow basically, eliminate the count, right? That's essentially what she was trying to do, right? And the way you can get that count eliminated is, well, wait a minute, maybe we can have it be a case where both counts are served at uh the same time, and basically I can, I can get out that way. Yeah. You know, and we can trim it. That's how we can trim it, right? That way I can just, or we can just get one of the counts dropped, and whichever one is the longer one, then I can just do that one, and yeah, I'll be out. But I won't have to do the whole stretch. I won't have to do both counts, right? Because remember, when we were live and we were breaking it down, we were like, okay, so for this one count, she's getting blah 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 years. For this other one, she's getting blah 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 years. And the way this is supposed to go down, okay, you finish your first set. Okay, now automatically you're going right into your next sentence. Like that's how it's supposed to go down. And obviously, what she's trying to do here is trim that fat big time. It took them like barely a couple of days, and this got shot down real fucking quick. I'm trying to see if I can find the judge's response. Let's see. Because remember, she was sentenced, if I remember right, she was sentenced to over 17 years. So that means by the time she gets out, I think she's going to be like 70 or something like that, 70 or 75, some shit like that. All right, because remember, Sitch was previously sentenced to over 17 years in prison due to her role in the crash that killed 75-year-old Julian LaFrancis Lester in March of 2022. She was sentenced to 10.6 years in prison for driving with a suspended license causing death, and another 7 years for DUI manslaughter. It was previously ruled that the sentences would be served after each other. So it is supposed to be, 17 years. Now, Mike Johnson, uh, I think it was Mike Johnson that had revealed first that the judge ended up denying it and everything. Judge Karen A. Foxman, she acknowledged that Sitch's efforts, hey, I see you, I hear what you're doing, like that's great, but ultimately denied the request. Trying to see if the judge had said anything else here. The judge is not saying anything else here in regards to denying, but in a new update, looks like the estate of Julian Lasseter is bringing a civil lawsuit that is scheduled to begin on March 25th, and the complaint seeks in the excess of $30,000 in damages. Johnson notes that the lawsuit argues negligence on Sitch's behalf and that the family has had to pay medical and funeral expenses in addition to suffering. And if you're keeping track, Sitch is not scheduled to be released from prison until December 22nd, 2039. That's what's going on with her. So kudos to the judge for, essentially, no, get that bullshit out of here. You're, like, you haven't even begun to scratch the surface. Like, she got sentenced in 2022. And it's like, and you're talking about life after prison. Like, you haven't even done half your fucking sentence yet. And you're already thinking about, I don't know about you guys, but that just comes off to me. Wow, you're saying all these right things, but at the end of the day, you're not truly understanding the severity of your actions. You truly aren't understanding that what you did changed the life of a family forever. Key word, forever. You're not grasping the severity. Yeah, when you are just, it's just, it's been a year, it's been 2 years. It's like, yeah, no. You can be in whatever little program you want. You could be talking to the kids. You can, hallelujah, Jesus, I seen the light. Like, that is great for the first year plus that you've been in there. But, let's see how you are. Let's see if let's see if you truly are remorseful when you hit up 5 years, when you hit up 7 years. Let's get a better idea of where you are at that point versus, like right now, you're just going to say and do whatever you can to, it just came off so cold, so callous, disgusting, just disgusting. And I don't see how anybody can defend this woman, let alone continue to invest in her little canteen and all that other shit. Because you'd be surprised how many wrestling fans are fucking doing it. They're doing it on a regular basis. Meanwhile, speaking about wrestling babes in jail, Kimber Lee, remember her DUI whole little fiasco? Well, the former NXT and Impact Wrestling star, she is scheduled to go on jury trial for charges of DUI, resisting an officer with violence, and battery on a law enforcement officer before Highlands County Court in Florida on February 10th, 2025. That is when her trial is going to begin. Now, for those of you that may be going, oh, yeah. Hey, I haven't seen anything of her on social media. What's going on with her, Lee? Well, as far as her X/Twitter account goes, that's no more. She, last I saw, is not posting regularly on Facebook, but she is posting regularly on her Instagram account under her real name. And basically, she has totally, remember, one of the last things that she had posted when she did have X/Twitter, she basically talked about how she was going to be stepping away from the wrestling business, like she's just done with it and all that. Last I saw, I just checked like a couple of days ago, she is still working in the veterinarian industry. It looks like maybe she is some type of I'm trying to find the right words. She is selling. I'm trying to find the right words. I guess I'll just throw it out there and you guys can maybe clean it up a little better. It looks like she's selling nail accessories. So she's selling nail clips, nail polish. Looks like she's like into the makeup stuff now. That's what she's mainly selling. I had to do a double take because at first I thought maybe she was doing like some Avon Mary Kay stuff. But the more and more that I was paying attention to her page, Not the case at all. Like, she is, for the most part, nail clippings and all that. You just got to go on her Instagram account to see what I'm talking about. It looks like going into this trial, she has really, from what I've seen over the months that she's posted stuff, it seems that she's really trying to clean up her image. And look, I don't know if that's all for show or what, but I know that her trial kept getting pushed back quite a bit. And unless something weird transpires, then that date seems to officially be it for her. So we'll see. As February, that date was that February 10th. I think we just said February 10th. It's literally around the corner. So we'll see what's up. Interesting note on producers from SmackDown of last week's episode. I just wanted to run this by you guys because I thought it was a pretty cool list. For the speed match between Chris Sabin and Grayson Waller, that was produced by Nick Aldis. Meanwhile, Bobby Roode and Sean Daivari, they produced the Rey Mysterio Kevin Owens joint, the segment, as well as the match between the two. Kristen Scaval was the writer. Meanwhile, Jason Jordan produced Bianca Belair and Naomi versus Nia Jax and Candice LeRae, as well as B-Fab versus Piper Niven. I thought B-Fab did pretty damn solid in her solo outing. I'm looking forward to more to come from the young girl, but she did pretty good. Jamie Noble, meanwhile, Jamie Noble, boy, woo! He produced the Jimmy Uso versus Carmelo Hayes, as well as the Solo Sikoa, Tamatonga, and Jacob Fatu segment. Solo Sikoa not saying anything, just dropping the microphone, rolling out. Jacob Fatu and them looking on like, it's like that? Okay. Like, they didn't look stunned. They did not look sad. They did not look glad that they would not eat green eggs and ham. No, I like how Jacob Fatu just pretty much owned the moment right there. That was good. That was good shit. Kenny Dystra produced Motor City Machine Guns versus Los Garza. Yeah. TJ Wilson produced Bailey versus Tiffany Stratton. Good stuff. Former WWE Tough Enough cast member Eric Watts wrote the Jimmy Uso segment. So wanted to share that with you guys. I thought that was kind of interesting. Meanwhile, Nexstar and Optimum Com looks like they've come to Nexstar and Optimum looks like they've come to a new agreement on a new deal as NXT channels are set to return. Nexstar and Optimum have ended their disagreement that saw channels that air WWE NXT in several markets pulled from the air. As reported, a carriage dispute led to Optimum pulling 63 Nexstar stations, including CW affiliates in many markets, off the pay TV provider earlier in the month. Nexstar and Optimum announced on Saturday, so just over the weekend, that they've reached an agreement that has seen programming restored in all markets. So that is a beautiful thing to hear. Look, I don't know if that maybe would have affected W markets in the DC metropolitan area, but I can tell you this much: for years, YouTube TV paying customers in the DC metropolitan area, we did not have the CW. So if we wanted to watch new episodes of Lois and Superman, what was the Supernatural? We pretty much had to go on the CW network site and hope that maybe we could watch that way, or maybe somebody had uploaded some episodes on YouTube. Hurry up, watch that before it gets pulled for copyright reasons and everything. We're still relatively new with the CW, because I think we got the CW because I remember when we were talking about it here on the show, and I was like, yo, I finally got CW. I don't even think we've had CW. Yeah, we haven't even had CW for a year yet. have not even had it for a year yet. It's been refreshing. I like it. It's a nice change of pace. I'm finding myself watching their local news, picking up some little tabs. Boy, their local news, it's very, very every time I end up watching that channel with my wife, she goes, "Oh my God, you would do so well on here." I'm like, you think so? Like, and I would say, I'm not sure how to take that. And she would go, no, like, it's actually a good thing because it's like these guys are like they're amateurs, so like you would really thrive well working on this network if your end goal is to go to CBS, NBC, or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I can see what you're talking about. But yeah, very amateurish how they do their news. Uh, as far as content goes, though, like if it's not NXT, I'm really not watching, or their local news. I'm really not watching anything else. I'm finding so. For you CW fans, hopefully you find that to be good news and everything. And I think many of you do, especially if it's a case where you are watching the NXT, you are watching Wild Women of Wrestling, you're watching new original programming on there as well and everything. So seeing if there's anything else to get into, and I don't think there is. I think that is pretty much it. I know I had polled you guys earlier in the day asking you guys how you holding up, how you feeling with it being inauguration day and all that. And I'm looking at the final polling results right now, at least for now. By the way, happy birthday to one of the dopest, illest producers, drummers of all time. Of course, I'm talking about Questlove from the legendary Roots crew, one of my all-time favorite drummers. He is definitely, when I think about my very short list of drummers, no particular order, but yeah, as far as like my top favorite drummers goes, no particular order. Questlove, Dave Grohl, Lars Ulrich of Metallica, John Bonham from Led Zeppelin, um, Stuart Copeland of the Police. They're like those are my favorite. Oh, Phil Collins. What I would give to just see all of those guys in one room. I know we can't with Bonham, but perfect world, boy, that would just be so awesome to see all of them in one room, like in a studio joint. They're all talking, sharing some interesting stories, techniques, and then there's a great jam out session. I believe Questlove turned 54, 55 today. So yeah. And then also, oh, I can't believe I almost forgot about this. But if you know all things hard rock and metal, we lost a pretty damn good guitarist this week, and I was stunned to hear the news about him when he died, because I just was like, whoa, what? But John Sykes, legendary guitarist, Thin Lizzy, when it came to White Snake's seventh album, 1987 self-titled White Snake album. Remember, it had all the hits on that joint. Still of the Night, Is This Love, Crying in the Rain. Um, John Sykes was responsible for co-writing all of that album, but he passed away this week at the age of 65, relatively young, after losing his battle to cancer. And when you read up on John Sykes, a very interesting career, and just how ultimately he got to Whitesnake, how it all came about. This guy was already establishing himself in other bands. One of his first bands was Street Fighter, right? Long before the video game franchise and all of that stuff. It was Street Fighter. And then I think ultimately he did the Tigers of Pantang. And then he tried auditioning for Ozzy Osbourne, and that kind of fell apart. Ultimately, he got into a position where he was able to work with Thin Lizzy. And as we know, the lead singer, he was having his drug issues. And ultimately, when Thin Lizzy had put out their final album, what was that, in 1983? And then the lead singer had died in 86. An opportunity for Sykes to do some work with White Snake came about on their Slide It In album. So, album 6 for White Snake. And there was a couple of guitar rearrangements. He produced a couple of guitar tracks and all that, laid down some stuff for that album. And David Cloverdale decided, okay, you know what? I really like what, I'm getting here. Let's do this again, and let's go into the studio and let's see what we can do. And of course, that led to 1987's self-titled White Snake album, and just so many goddamn hits was on that album. It's funny because and I said Clover, I meant David Coverdale. Um Sykes went into that joint, co-wrote all the songs, the guitar. I mean, he took White Snake and with his collaboration, with what he brought to the table with White Snake during that particular period in time. I need for people to understand White Snake was doing okay, but they did not have mainstream success until John Sykes came in there and just kicked that son of a bitch of a door wide open. And through his contributions, it really blew White Snake the fuck up. I mean, you just had to been living in the 80s back then. I mean, White Snake, when they put out that 1987 album, I mean, they were able to tour for years off of the success of that album. And they dominated the charts big time with all of those songs from back then. And when you just think about all of those great things, you're like, well, man, like, you can't go wrong here. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it's real fucked up how David Coverdale did Sykes and the rest of the bandmates, as he pretty much fired them and had an entirely different act that was touring with him to support that album. Like, you can say what you say, you can say what you want about Prince, rest his soul, but not even Prince operated like that. We all do how much of a creative musical genius Prince was, but not even he rolled like that when it came to going on tour. He pretty much stuck with the guys that that either helped him on that respected album, or if it was a case where he produced everything, he did the musical arrangements and all of that for that album. Whoever was going on tour with him, that would be the same men and women that you would see in whatever city any day of the week. They would be the ones on tour. But what David Coverdale did with Sykes and everybody, Sykes was disgruntled with Coverdale for decades, right down to the point, he was like, I will never work with him again. I got nothing to say to him. Fuck that guy. That's basically how it was. And then decades passed. There was rumblings that Coverdale was interested in reuniting with that 1987 classic lineup, just go forward, produce new music, all that stuff. And Sykes was like, because I think Coverdale tried to approach him. I think some mutual friend that they had or whatever, like he tried to initiate contact, and Sykes was like, you know what, I would really be interested, but I say I can't do it right now, but I can recommend. And there was two guitarists that he recommended that he was pretty close to, and he was like, why don't you try hitting up these guys? So Coverdale took his advice. He ended up, I think, hiring both of those guys. And you would think, okay, so you got a nice little olive branch there. Okay, maybe you can kind of make amends here. And per Sykes, that was the last time he heard from Coverdale. And it's like, wow, this guy Sykes threw him an olive branch. Coverdale didn't, what the fuck? And Sykes ended up saying years after that, you know, we both just like being our own bosses, so it wouldn't work. So, but that classic lineup, if you're in the all things hard rock and metal, and you've never listened to 1987's self-titled album, you really owe it to yourself. You need to go back and you need to listen to it. You know, a lot of people call it the self-titled album. Others call it the 1987 album, but that album still holds up to this very day. Still of the Night, Bad Boys, Give Me All Your Love, Looking for Love, Crying in the Rain, Is This Love, Straight from the Heart, Don't Turn Away, Children of the Night, Here I Go Again, You're Gonna Break My Heart Again. I mean, that whole album just, it's kick ass. It's kick ass. Holds up to this very day. Rest in peace, John Sykes. Damn, I mean, you know, you're in for a special treat too. Like, that album has one of the best guitar opening riffs for not just a track, but for an album. That, like, as soon as you hear it, you're going, fuck, I'm going to be on an incredible journey here. All right. Am I right? For those of you that know your White Snake and you're thinking about that 1987 album, you just think about those first couple of guitar riffs for Still of the Night. You're like, oh, it's on. Like, I'm listening to something really special here. It's fucking on. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. All right. So other than that, that is pretty much gonna do it. We're gonna do I'm thinking maybe we'll do a bonus show. Maybe this Wednesday or Thursday. I'm not sure yet. I know when we were on last week, I said, wow, if we do decide to do a bonus show, maybe we should stick to Wednesdays, particularly Wednesday nights after Dynamite goes off the air. So I'm going to put a poll out for you guys and ask you guys, would you like a Wednesday night show? You know, or maybe we do something on the weekend. So I'm going to pick you guys' brain. I don't know about Saturday night's main event, but I would like to do a post show. Reason why I'm a little bit on the fence right now, usually Saturday nights, I'm on the road working. So, you know, I'm not quite sure yet. I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm going to have to chat with the missus. And then actually, you know what? I think we have a responsibility to our sponsors. I have to go back and see which shows we promoted them for, but I think I got to check, but I think we promoted them. We said we would promote them on the Saturday show. And if that's the case, that's January 25th. Speaking of sponsors, I definitely want to take this time out and recognize our sponsors right now, because without them, content like what you're checking now, right now, my pretty babies, would not be made possible. So do go out of your way and check these guys out. First off, I want to take time to recognize the good folks over at nqbyg.com. If you are looking for everything in one place when it comes to trendy women's and men's collections, from comfortable shoes, bags, and accessories, NQBYG has it all. If you need a home refresher, you can check out their home and living collection, everything from kitchen must-haves to cozy decors. Why shop anywhere else when you can find everything at NQBYG? So visit them today at NQBYG.com. We're also brought to you in part by our good friends over at the 01 USA promotion. Check them out on patreon.com/01. That's the actual number one USA. Patreon.com/01 USA. Purchase a $5 tier on their Patreon and you'll receive full access to their video tapings of their weekly Thursday night shows that they put out in Edgewood, Illinois, showcasing 01 USA talent and trainees from their own dojo and others who've been working very hard to prove themselves. All the episodes go back to January last year. So a relatively new wrestling promotion that you guys would be able to catch up on in no time. They've got athletes that's trying to prove themselves, prove what they have, what it takes to climb through the rankings. They have talent leveling from vets with over 18 years experience to wrestlers that's literally just getting their feet wet in the industry. So how cool is that to say, hey, I was there when this person began and they began wrestling in. So check them out, patreon.com/01 USA. Happy to be working with them. Also, shout out to our friends at the Careable.com, which is a personalized AI avatar digital companion, speaks and understands every language, provides emotional AI, mental health support. You can use it just like Chat GBT. Again, like Chat GPT, available for iOS and the Google Play Store. Last but not least, the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is brought to you in part by Breaking Boundaries, the new book by Robert D. Murphy, available for Kindle and paperback. Learn more by visiting breakingboundaries-book.com, or you can pick up a copy on Amazon. If you're ready to stop waiting for career opportunities and start creating them, Breaking Boundaries will help you set your course. Are you prepared to take control of your career and break through to the next level? This is a book that's perfect for professionals at any levels, packed with insights on leadership, development, team management, career growth strategies, conflict resolutions, and many more. Again, all these great sponsors that we've been fortunate to work with. Check them out. I try to do my best when I work with sponsors these days. I try to work with those that I feel, well, look, if it works for me, if I can see myself working with these guys, coming out of my pocket, paying for these guys, and some of them I have, like, I know you'll definitely dig them as well. And even if it's a case where you might not be interested, I bet you know somebody that would be. So pass the information along that way. But definitely check out our sponsors, because without them, content like what you're checking out right now would not be made possible. We love our sponsors. So that is going to do it. Get at me on Blue Sky. I'm having fun over there, trying to post more and more. I'm getting to a point now where I am now curtailing certain things that I want to post just like strictly for Blue Sky, rather than just post repeat here, post repeat there. I'm starting to find like a more distinct. I think what I'm going to start doing is just posting more personal stuff on Blue Sky as opposed to the Twitter. That's just kind of how I'm doing, but I'm still trying to figure it out. Looks like TikTok has been saved. Cool. I'm gonna start playing around with TikTok a little bit more. I'll let you guys know when I have all that figured out. But yeah, we got the Blue Sky, we got the Twitter, we got YouTube, we got Facebook. By the way, shout out to those of you that maybe are checking out the content for the very first time, and it was because of Facebook or Twitter. I know that I had shared my thoughts and the entire 17-minute plus monologue that Dave Chappelle did from Saturday Night Live. I can't stress it enough. If you guys did not watch Dave Chappelle's SNL monologue, check it out. I had no idea Dave Chappelle was hosting for that respective weekend. True story. I was up early Saturday morning and I was on YouTube. I went on ahead and I'm paying like the $15 fee now so I can check out YouTube stuff without any commercials. It's been great. And somehow I see this joint in my feed with Dave Chappelle. And you know how it is with the YouTube algorithm. Once you check out a particular thing, YouTube's like, okay, well, we're going to show you more of this. So YouTube knows, their algorithm knows I like Dave Chappelle. I see this thing that's suggested to me and I'm going, wait, is this new? I'm like 5 hours ago. I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like, oh, this is new. From SNL's on YouTube channel. I click on it and I'm like, whoa. I agree with a lot of the things that Chappelle had said. I was watching Inside the NBA on TNT earlier today. They had a really great 2-hour tip off where they were talking about the life and legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. I would definitely go out of your way to check out that 2-hour special. Very, very impactful. And I know during the tip off, Charles Barkley, and this is how Barkley and Chappelle, this is how they link. Charles Barkley said to Ernie Johnson, Ernie, can I just say something real quick? And he goes, yeah, Chuck, go ahead. And Charles says, hey, we know what today also represents. I want to just wish President Trump the very best. And I sincerely mean that because I did not vote for him. But, here we are. And now more than ever, the world is watching us. We need this president to do it right. We need him to do right by us. And so, yeah, I really want to wish this guy the best of luck. And yeah, Ernie was like, yeah, that's yeah, of course, Chuck. And Chuck was like, I watched the Chappelle, and everybody was like, yeah, it's pretty good. And yeah, I want to echo those same sentiments. That's why I was polling you guys earlier, and I was asking you guys, how are you feeling? How are you feeling today? And I had this poll, and the options were optimistic, hopeful, um, what was it? Sad. And matter of fact, I can pull it up real quick. Hang on. I can pull it up real quick. 'Cause I really didn't tweet that much today, so I can find this with great ease. Let's see here. Where are we? There we go. So this is what I'm seeing right now. Feeling optimistic, that was 16%. Feeling hopeful, nobody went in that direction. So I see another 16%, so you got a tie. Feeling sad and worried. 66% of you said you're taking it one day at a time. I feel where a lot of you guys are coming from, and I want to share the same sentiments with Charles Barkley and Dave Chappelle. And very seldom on this particular series will I talk politics, but I will say this. I will say this. 49.6 of Americans voted the way that they voted. Trump's in office. The world's watching us, whether we like it or not. What's done is done. The only thing that we can do for those of us that live in this great country called America, yeah, the poll is on Twitter, Muhammad. Poll is on Twitter. You're probably not going to see it because I didn't pin it, but you can go almost 14 hours ago and you can see the poll there. There was a poll that was also posted on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. But YouTube, I don't think that many people had voted for the poll over there. Just going back to check one more time. Um, yeah, same poll is on YouTube. And while I'm here, I'm seeing a tie at 11% from YouTube. Half of you are saying one day at a time. The other half of you are saying feeling sad and worried. 33% of you are feeling optimistic, and 44% of you are feeling hopeful. So kind of interesting that YouTube, we've got hopeful being the majority, while on X, majority of you are saying you're taking it one day at a time. So, look, I hear what you guys are saying. What I will say to you, I don't want to get too into the weeds because I want to save the political talk for wrestling with the topics. But what I will say to you guys, again, my North American family, this is a great country that we live in. It really is. You see all the other stuff that's happening around the world, and I say this to my friends and family from time to time. I just go, how amazing is it that we can walk into a grocery store? Like we don't think enough about this. I remember I even talked about this in my sociology class a couple of semesters ago. I said, we really take for granted the fact that we can just walk into a grocery store. We can pick up an apple. We can pick up some meat. We can go get some milk. We can get some cereal. Like other countries, they don't have these options. They don't. It's true. 2025, like they don't have these options. You'd be surprised. We really take things for granted. I personally feel. And look, we had an election. America decided this is the direction that we're going in. The election is over with. Now comes the real work. And that's seeing what this president is going to do. Whether we hate him, we loathe him, as a nation, we got to get behind this guy because the world is watching. The world is watching. And America is always being looked upon as the tone setters, right? And if there's one thing I want to leave you guys with, I want to leave you guys with, regardless how you may feel, now comes the time where you go, you know what? I'm going to be the bigger person here. And sometimes certain instances will call for you to be the bigger person. It's asking a lot. I know. But this is one of those rare times where you go, you know what? I'm going to be the bigger person. I'm going to put my support behind this president. I want for this president to succeed because when this president succeeds, we as a nation, we succeed. So I hope he's successful. And I hope that success trickles down to me and my family, and we're successful as well as a result. That's the mindset that I want a lot of you guys to have. And obviously, along the way, like you can only hope that from the mistakes that was made from the previous administration, okay, lessons learned, and just some of the stuff that's going on with some of the cabinet decision makers. When you look at how things was operated the first go, it really seems like this go round, but actions speak louder than words, right? It's all about the action. So let's take it one day at a time with this presidency. Let's string it together one day at a time and see how things go from there. Um, that would be my best way of looking at how things have played out to where we are right now. Remember, I live out here in the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. I had a front row seat too. I had friends that were texting me, family members that were texting me, and everything. And let me tell you something. For me, as a Chicago native, to say today was pretty cold, I'm actually glad they moved everything indoors. That's not me picking a political side. That's just me telling you, no. It was fucking cold. And as we speak right now, we should have already dipped into the single digits. Look, the level of coldness, it might differ for some people, but out here when it pretty much was in the late 20s pretty much all day. Yeah, if you're wearing some thermos, you're probably going to be okay, especially if it's a case where you can run into a car for about 15, 30 minutes, get nice and warmed up, and you can go back out later and you can do your little on-field reporting and all that. Yeah, it's easy to say, oh, it's not that bad out here, but try being the people that were sleeping in tents at the Capital One arena. Legit, we had people that were sleeping in tents overnight in front of the Capital One arena to guarantee themselves admission into the arena, because there was only, it was only going to be opening up to 20,000. That's it. It was just 20,000. And I'm glad they had the event indoors. It seemed cooler. Nothing beats seeing the outdoors parade, though. I get that. You know, I'm definitely, when this comes around, because it's guaranteed. It always comes like every 4 years or whatever. I like seeing the parades and the people and all of that. I wish we could have gotten to see all that, but for what was put together pretty much at the last minute, I thought, all things considered, and then moving it indoors and just a total 180, and God, all practically at, last minute, like at last notice. I thought they pulled it off pretty damn good. But yeah, like sometimes being the bigger person means to not look the other way, but it means, okay, you know what, despite what maybe I might have heard, despite maybe how some people are acting, like, I'm going to be the better person, and I'm just going to wish this person the best. I'm going to wish them the best of luck, because when they succeed, me and my family succeeds, the nation succeeds. So, if you want to pick my brain, just pretend, we're having some drinks, we're at the bar, and this topic comes up, and you're asking me, what do I make about this whole? Honestly, if I was in front of you right now, enjoying my beer, that's what I would say to you, right? You know me, I always keep it real with you guys. So that's going to do it. Look out for the polls asking you guys about programming notes so we can try to figure out how we're going to do this week and everything. Stay connected on social media. You enjoyed this episode, make sure you hit the like button and share. Really helps out in putting more eyeballs on the content, my pretty babies. Until next go round, wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I'll see you all next go round. Take care, y'all. Peace.